Do you want to know what I'm doing? I'm writing a letter to a friend of mine. I know these days most of us don't write letters. We just send messages, write emails, or maybe pick up the phone and make a call. But you know something? Letter writing is very personal because it's handwritten and we can sign off. Since it's lockdown, I decided to write a few letters. By the way, I have a story for you. This story is called Mr. Blueberry and it's written by Simon James. In this story, there is a little girl called Emily. She writes letters to her teacher, Mr. Blueberry, and he writes back to her. Do you want to read the letters? Okay, I'll read them for you. So the first letter is written by Emily to Mr. Blueberry. Dear Mr. Blueberry, I love whales very much, and I think I saw one in my pond today. Please send me some information on whales as I think he might be hurt. Love, Emily. Wow. Mr. Blueberry writes, Dear Emily, here are some details about whales. I don't think you will find it was a whale you saw because whales don't live in ponds but in salt water. Yours sincerely, your teacher, Mr. Blueberry. I think he's right. Whales don't live in ponds, isn't it? So now Emily writes, Dear Mr. Blueberry, I am now putting salt into the pond every day before breakfast, and last night I saw my whale smile. I think he's feeling better. Do you think he might be lost? Love, Emily. Oh my God. Do you think there's really a whale in her pond and he's lost? Let's find out. Mr. Blueberry writes, Dear Emily, please don't put any more salt in the pond. I am sure your parents won't be pleased. I'm afraid there can't be a whale in your pond because whales don't get lost. They always know where they are in the oceans. Yours sincerely, Mr. Blueberry. Yes, I have heard whales never get lost. They know their way. Emily writes, Dear Mr. Blueberry, tonight I am very happy because I saw my whale jump up and spurt lots of water. He looked blue. Does this mean he might be a blue whale? Love, Emily. Wow. P.S. What can I feed him with? Do you know what P.S. means? It means postscript. Sometimes you write an entire letter and you sign off. And then suddenly you remember that you have forgotten something very important. So you write P.S. and write what you have forgotten. That is what is postscript. Now let's see what Mr. Blueberry writes. Dear Emily, blue whales are blue and they eat tiny shrimp-like creatures that live in the sea. However, I must tell you that a blue whale is much too big to live in your pond. Yours sincerely, Mr. Blueberry. There is a P.S. Perhaps it is a blue goldfish. What do you think? Does Emily have a blue whale in her pond? Or is it just a blue goldfish? Let's find out. Now Emily writes, Dear Mr. Blueberry, last night I read your letter to my whale. Afterwards, he let me stroke his head. It was very exciting. I secretly took him some crunched up cornflakes and breadcrumbs. This morning I looked in the pond and they were all gone. I think I shall call him Arthur. What do you think? Love, Emily. Arthur. What do you think? It's a nice name, isn't it? Okay, so Mr. Blueberry writes, Dear Emily, I must point out to you quite forcibly now that in no way could a blue whale live in your pond. You may not know that whales are migratory, which means they travel great distances each day. I am sorry to disappoint you. Yours sincerely, Mr. Blueberry. Dear Mr. Blueberry, tonight I am a little sad. Arthur has gone. I think your letter made sense to him and he has decided to be migratory again. Love, Emily. Oh, do you feel sad too? Okay. What does Mr. Blueberry say? Dear Emily, please don't be sad. It really was impossible for a whale to live in your pond. Perhaps when you're older, you would like to sail the oceans studying and protecting whales. Yours sincerely, Mr. Blueberry. Wow, that's a wonderful thing to say. You can actually choose to protect whales? Yes, of course. You can choose to protect any animal on this planet. Isn't that wonderful? So now what does Emily say? Dear Mr. Blueberry, it's been the happiest day. I went to the beach and you will never guess, but I saw Arthur. Wow! I called to him and he smiled. I knew it was Arthur because he let me stroke his head. I gave him some of my sandwich. And then we said goodbye. I shouted that I loved him very much. And I hope you don't mind. I said that you loved him too. Love, Emily. And in brackets, and Arthur. The end. Wow. That was nice, isn't it? Emily writes so beautifully, is it not? And Mr. Blueberry too replied her very well. Now we know a lot of information about whales through these letters. Ah, I did not realize that letters could be very, very informative. You know what? I have an idea. We are in a lockdown, and soon after this, we have a long vacation. So maybe we could utilize this time well. We could write letters to our grandparents, to our cousins, our school friends, and maybe even teachers. I'm sure they would love getting letters from all of you. What do you say? So, what do we write in the letters? We could write something about what we have done during the day, something that we have thought about, or something that you want to tell your teacher, you want to talk to your grandparents about. Maybe you could share some things with your friends. I have heard that a lot of you are helping your mother in the kitchen with cooking. Is that so? So then you can share some recipes, about the cakes that you've baked, the cookies that you've baked, or something else. And you can also get recipes back from your friends and make them. I think it's an interesting idea. What do you think? So shall we make this vacation a letter writing vacation? Think about it. Happy letter writing.